Hey, welcome everybody. My name is Deb Kramer. I'm the founder and executive director of Keep Coyote Creek Beautiful, and I'll be your moderator today. I love exploring and learning about nature, and over the past 10 years, I've had the great fortune to build a community around Coyote Creek through Keep Coyote Creek Beautiful's events. And through that, I've met some incredible people, and you'll meet two of them in this presentation. Coyote Creek, it's a 64-mile long river starting in Henry Coe Park, and it winds through Coyote Valley, through downtown San Jose, and out through Milpitas into San Francisco Bay. It's got an immense diversity of wildlife and an incredible ecosystem. So Keep Coyote Creek Beautiful was founded in 2015 by me. We're celebrating our 10th anniversary this year. And really what we want to do is care for and advocate for the creek. I've encouraged people to learn about it and the value of a healthy creek, and then also offer recreational activities to connect people with the watershed. Everything is connected, and we do that through our 3 E's, which is to engage people, to provide a voice for the creek. We also have our wonderful creek cleanups where we remove tons of trash every year from the creek. And we also encourage people to get out there and participate in fun activities, including bike rides. And one of the things that people really enjoy about it is meeting new people. And then we also have an education arm. BioBlitz is one of them. And we help people learn more about the watershed. And that's part of why you're here today as well, is to learn more. As I mentioned, we build community around nature. And as you can see, we've got a lot of people out and about looking at and learning about these wonderful critters that we have. Some of those photos with people in them, and especially those in our bright orange vest, there are BioBlitz docents. And we're really grateful to be able to have so many wonderful people volunteering. Here's a map. As I mentioned, it starts at Henry Coe Park and makes kind of a backwards J through Anderson Lake and through Coyote Valley, one of the important ecosystems that Michael will be talking about today, and through downtown San Jose and out to the bay. You may have been a part of our training series already, but in case you haven't, you can always visit YouTube, and our handle is Keep Coyote Creek Beautiful. And we've got, I think, 12 videos now, and the picture that you see here are just a few of the ones that we've hosted. This time I'd like to introduce my friend Merav. Merav founded the BioBlitz Club, which is a community science organization specifically to encourage people to get outside and learn about nature. Through this group's actions over the last 8 years, she has hosted nearly 160 events, which is astounding, with thousands of people who have participated and contributed to the growing body of knowledge about nature through iNaturalist. Take it away, Merav.
I actually had a little bit over 160 events. So yeah, some of you know me from the BioBlitz events. This is one of the things that I do. I organize these events in different parks where we go and document biodiversity using iNaturalist. And if you haven't used the app yet, it's a really amazing app that I highly recommend. It's free, very simple to learn how to use it. But it's not just for BioBlitzes. You could use it to document anything, any living organism that you see around you, anything that you find interesting. And once you document it, you share it with this huge community of people. And I'd like to show you one of these communities in the next 10, 15 minutes. This is another project that I've been involved in for some years now, monitoring newt mortality on Alma Bridge Road near Lexington Reservoir. It's right off Highway 17 on the way to Santa Cruz. And usually when people think about wildlife collision with cars or animal crossings, they think about big fluffy animals like the ones that Mike is going to talk about. But those are not the only animals that get hit by cars. There are also little animals that need our help just as much. So I'd like to talk about two different species of newts that live in this area. This is the California newt, and we also have a rough-skin newt. Both of them live around our study site, but it's mostly actually the California newt that lives there. In general, they spend their dry season now hiding underground. they need more humidity, so they hide underground. But once they get enough rain, they'll come out, and then they'll start foraging, looking for food. But also, what we mostly notice is their migration. So the adult newts would migrate from their summer habitat in the foothills into creeks and ponds where they would try and reproduce. Um, yeah, and they're very cute during all their life stages. Unfortunately, they don't always make it, and I'll show you where we work. But just to start, this is our group, the Newt Patrol. So it's a small group of community scientists that document. We also do outreach and advocacy. And yeah, I'll talk about a few different topics around this local Newt community. So I'll start with the documentation. Back in 2017, my friend Ann Parsons, she noticed that there was a high roadkill mortality of newts along Lexington Reservoir. This is Highway 17 here, the way to Santa Cruz down there. And she was just noticing many dead newts and started documenting them. She was already using iNaturalist back then, so she documented them on iNaturalist. She then started doing a few surveys and then decided that she's going to do a regular survey once and even sometimes twice a week. This is 4.2 miles road. So it's a lot of work, and there are a lot of newts there. I'm not sure. I don't think this is the updated number. It's about 35,000 newts that we documented so far, all dead on this road since 2017. So just to show you what you could do with iNaturalist. So Anne started that. She did all these surveys on her own. It's an incredible work to document. She documented, I think, about 4,800 newts that year. And then the next year, she recruited a small group of people, including me, to go and do these surveys. And we've been going on since. So what I wanted to show you here is the power of this tool of iNaturalist and community science, that you could find something, you could collect the data, you could create a community around it, and hopefully make a difference at the end. So on iNaturalist, you can create different projects. This is called an umbrella project. So in it, we have different projects included. So there's a project for every year. We actually have projects for other roadkills. So it's not just about the newts, but we monitor any roadkills on that road, but it's mostly newts. Those are the highest numbers. And I don't want to get to all the information. I could go on and talk about newts forever. I'll try to keep it short. But I just want to show you a little bit the data that we collected. So these are all the years that we've surveyed. You can see that the first year was not a regular survey. It was just a few surveys that Anne has done, and then she decided to make a regular survey the next year. In any case, you could see the numbers. So every year we had about 5,000 newts for about 5 years. And then for the past 2 years, we actually had only about 2,500 newts, which, might sound great. Okay, there are fewer dead newts, but it's not actually a good thing because we haven't done anything to improve the conditions for the newts yet, which means that this is not good. Okay, we don't know what's going on. Maybe the population already started crashing, which is predicted to happen in the future. Maybe it's just, some climate impact. We don't know. They might be fine next year. But in any case, we do know that this is not sustainable. This population won't be able to survive without any major improvement to their condition. And yeah, you could see the data in a different figure right here. You could also see here that this is like a heat map. Yeah, a heat map here. To the right, you could see that there are some areas that hotspots where there are much more dead newts than in other ones, but the newts do die all along this road. And in order to save them, we will need to actually do something to improve this road. So one aspect that the Newt Patrol is doing is the documentation of roadkills. The second one is the outreach and advocacy. These are photos from our June outreach event. We do some tabling events where we tell the community about this problem while keeping the kids busy playing shoots and newts that my daughter made. I think it's pretty funny. Anyway, the kids play that, and then we get a chance to speak with the adults and tell them about this problem, give them some stickers, and also add them hopefully to our mailing list. So once we need some public support, from time to time, we need to do some we ask people to write letters to different landowners in that area, ask them for their support. This is a pretty complicated issue. I won't get into all the details, but just saying that there are many different landowners there that we had to work with over the years and try and convince them that this is a really important issue, even though the newts are actually a pretty common animal. The California newt used to be the most common amphibian in California, but now we know that they can get locally extinct, especially because of car collision. So this is a really big problem in this area. The best solution to this problem would be to build wildlife crossings. We did try and study some other solutions, but there's no other viable solution in this case. So after doing a lot of advocacy, after working with, especially with the Santa Clara Valley Bird Alliance and Sierra Club, we were able to get Mid-Peninsula Open Space to start a group of experts. So they support a group of experts that I'm glad to be part of, that is trying to find solutions to this problem. So we already finished phase 1 of this project, and we're now in phase 2, where we're finishing the designs of these crossings, and we'll have to get through permitting and get funding. So this is very expensive. And as you can see, this has been taking years, right? We started this project back in 2017. It took us a few years to convince the authorities that we need to do something about it. But even the expert group, everything takes a long time. And this is why we decided that we'd like to try and add another aspect to our project. It's called assisted migration, where people go out and try and rescue live individuals. And I didn't know how effective it could be until I came across partners at the Newt Brigade up in Sonoma County, who have been rescuing thousands of newts every year in the past few years and have been doing an amazing job. So we're trying to learn from them and see if we could implement something similar on our road and save some of the newts. Of course, we won't be able to save them all. The conditions on our sites are very different than the conditions on their site, but this is something we're looking into. There's some complications around it, but hopefully we could get something done this winter. So we'll see. If anyone is interested, I'd love you to join our group. You could view my email address here. So feel free to email me if you're interested. I'll add you to my list and you'll hear more about it. Okay, but otherwise, if you have any questions about this part, we could do a quick session. Otherwise, we can continue.
I'd like to introduce Michael Hundt now. He's a California naturalist and Open Space Authority docent. I am as well. It's a really great opportunity to get to know more about the Coyote Valley area. Also, he is with the Henry Coe State Park Volunteer and Interpretation Group, which is how I met him. And he's also a field technician for the Coyote Valley Bobcat Research Team, Puma Study Project, and the California Department of Fish and Wildlife. He was born and raised on a Wisconsin dairy farm, and he's always spent most of his time outdoors, which is wonderful. While his primary career was in computers, his love of nature pulled him to delve deeper into the study of wild animals. He spent the last 20 years studying Tulial, bobcats, and mountain lions. Take it away, Mike.
Well, thanks for that excellent introduction. I hope I can live up to all those high words of praise. I've had a lot of fun in the last 20 years when we were going to move here, so I could teach people how to install mainframe computers. My wife came out and I said, well, don't get a house in the middle of town. Get one out towards the edge of town. And she got the best one, the last house at the end of the road. And yeah, in fact, let's see, what's today? Wednesday. So this would have been Monday morning. I believe it was Monday. Might have been Saturday morning, whatever. Who knows? But anyway, Saturday morning, I'm talking to my daughter on the phone. I look out the window and I see an elk right by my garden here. And he walks down to the creek behind the house, takes a drink, and wanders on over and eats some grass, and then kind of wanders away. And so that was the start of my day, and it's been kind of fun around here. I've had a lot of opportunities and some good people to work with. So anyway, today I wanted to just talk about some of the projects that I've worked on in the last 10 years, and also talk about some of the crazy animals that I get to see and take pictures of and do research on. So hopefully this presentation will be kind of a mix of information about research and tools and AI tools we're using, as well as some interesting pictures of animal behavior. And mostly this is big animals, elk, mountain lions, bobcats, that kind of a thing. So hopefully you enjoy this. So this picture was taken with one of our game cameras up on the top of Rat Springs Trail right after the, this is 1 year after the wildfire that roared through here. And that's a whole different story, but we'll talk about some of these mountain lions as we go along. I do a lot of work. People call me and ask me to help them, and I've worked with a number of volunteers that you probably also know, is like Rick and Craig and others, and so I use those guys for resources at various times. One of the things we're going to talk about a little bit today is I think they're charismatic megafauna, as I believe they are. We're going to talk a little bit about this stuff, not so much because there's a ton of information. We could spend weeks talking about all this, but we are going to talk about collecting scat for mountain lions and bobcats, and doing some DNA analysis and blood work and genetic testing and that kind of thing. We're going to be looking at parasites and stuff that are in those scat. We're going to talk a little bit about habitats and their fragmentation, roads and fence crossings. Not so much about wildfire and drought this time, but yeah, all of these things that we're studying do help the people that get the information from me, to make decisions about, how they manage the environment, the habitat. As far as Tule elk is concerned, they want to know where they're moving and how many there are, how many calves were born, those kinds of things. And so I've got a whole series of 12 cameras out here on Coyote Ridge and Jackson Ranch on the other side to collect information. Probably one thing you want to know, what size are these things that we're talking about? I don't have a picture of an elk on here, but it's probably twice as tall as that mountain lion. But we're going to talk about mountain lions, which are big. We'll talk about bobcats. We're not talking about the domestic cats too much. But anyway, I want to start out with showing you some of the information that I have available. And the reason it's on this page is because you can't get it anywhere else but, well, there are a couple of places, but it's not available on the web. So this information here, the Tule elk information, is a pamphlet that I can show you. I've got a couple dozen of these pamphlets here, and you can get them. I've got them. I order them up for my friend Jack, who's the director over there at San Luis Reservoir, or at San Luis Reserve. The mountain lion pamphlet comes from Sharon up in Oakland. The wildlife connectivity website is brand new, so I'll talk about that at the end. At the bottom here is a citizen's guide to Tule elk of California, and I don't think that's available on any place anymore, but I have a copy here. So some of these things, they're really good materials, and that's the reason I mentioned them. So send me an email if you think you want something. I have some available. If I don't have them, I'll have to order them or I'll have to go pick them up or something. But anyway, this information mainly, except for the connectivity stuff, is not available on the web. In the last 10 years or so, I've been working on 4 projects for sure. Back in 2016, 2017, Craig and Tanya and I got together and we talked about doing some helping her out with her bobcat study, basically reviewing the camera footage from all the cameras down in Fisher Creek and along Bailey and Monterey Road and Santa Teresa. A couple of years before that, I had gotten in touch with Zara McDonald at Felidae and had her come down and do a presentation. I got invited to help out with a mountain lion study at Cole Park, and it's still going on. It's about 6 years in now, and it's been really a lot of fun. A couple of years ago, I worked with Bill at the urban carnivore study. Bill is studying the gray fox up in Palo Alto, and I spent some time working on a special tool called Zamba, and we'll talk about that later. The Tule elk study I'm working on right now, I'm working with California Fish and Wildlife. We got 10 elk collared and out of here on Coyote Ridge, and I'll talk about that. So I was helping Tanya reviewing all the cameras, and I was using a tool called PIE, which pulls the metadata off your SD card and tells you what's on every picture. And we would build the spreadsheet with that. And then from there, we would document what kind of an animal is on that picture, what direction they were traveling, what the phase of the moon was, and any other information. So I did this for 6-8 months, I guess, at least. A lot of work. But yeah, Tanya loved it, and she enjoyed my comments. So that was the kind of the spreadsheet approach to animal analysis and understanding who's doing what out in the environment. After we got all these cameras down, we figured out maybe there's 20 bobcats in Coyote Valley. The idea was next to trap some, put some collars on them. And so here's a bobcat trap. There's a little kind of a little bait hanging out front. We got a bundle of chicken feathers as an attractant. And back in the back of the cage, you see a dove. And that dove gets real excited when a bobcat shows up. But anyway, it worked pretty well. We were able to catch about 22 or so bobcats and put collars on them and start tracking them. And then what we found out is we found 3 or 4 more bobcats in the valley that we didn't expect to find. And yeah, so it was pretty amazing how many there are in such a small area. Here's Craig and I out on top of the hill behind IBM. We got a bobcat down in a tree down below us, about a half a mile down the hill. And we're trying to figure out if we can get closer to actually see it or not, but we never did. So we were tracking these males. These are the 5 males we had out there that we were tracking in this picture here. And you can see their home ranges are in different colors here from where they're moving around. They're pretty small in general, but except for the green one here on the side, the guy is covering a lot of ground. It was willow. There's another one here that is not on here. But anyway, the one distance from where we were measuring here from Bailey or Metcalf Road all the way down to Cochrane is about 7.42 miles. And in this whole area, from one side of Coyote Valley to the other, we had 25 bobcats. That's pretty amazing. This is a bigger picture showing a lot more bobcats wandering around. You can see the Coyote Valley open space down here in the corner with an orange orange bobcat, orange orange picture anyway. The one that shows up next to my house is right, where's my house again? Right up in here somewhere. That was elderberry, actually. Elderberry is the one that was coming up behind my house, and I got pictures of her. Coyote Valley open space on Coyote Ridge here, and Coyote Ridge over here. So it covered a lot of territory. This is an interesting video. We had a bobcat coming by our house every day, well, at least every other day for about 2 or 3 weeks. And progressively, she got slower and slower. And finally, she barely could jump over the fence into my backyard. So this is a picture from my patio window. And so here we go. There's no sound, so. So she's scratching, 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 and she's just really sick. Her face is all bleached or, faded out there. That's gray and not brown at all. And yeah, unfortunately, this is the last time my wife and I saw her. She never came back, or he never came back. Um, so we figured she'd gotten rodenticide poisoning and died somewhere out off the edge of the property somewhere. I don't want to see that. So this is the fun stuff. We get to see a lot of interesting things on the cameras. They always a surprise. And here's one you may never see again in your whole life. That's a fishing pig. Who could imagine? Yeah. We suspect that he picked up a dead fish that was laying alongside the shore. I don't think he was swam out in the lake and got him, but anyway, it is a really cool picture, and I don't think you'll see it again. I got another one. You're wondering, what are these coyotes doing all the time? Well, in this case, he caught a pig, and this is a young one, probably 6 weeks or so old. I saw them come up the road, up this trail here, about 10 minutes or 15 minutes earlier. There came by maybe 7 or 8 little pigs and a mom. And then the coyote came about 5 minutes later, and he caught something and came back with it. So there you go, a coyote and a pig. So pretty cool. I got another cool one that showed up last week or 2 weeks ago, or whatever. It happened in July anyway. This is Coyote Ridge. This is this is at Henry Cove. This is a camera 11 bobcat, and I sent this off to my friend Rick to have him tell me, because Rick and I have been going back and forth about pictures, and whenever I see a picture of a bird I can't quickly identify, I send it to Rick and he says, hey, blah blah blah, it's a bluebird or whatever. Anyway, so he said, I thought it was a great horned owl. He says, I don't think so. There's too much white and there's black here on the edge. It probably is a barn owl. And here's another picture as the bobcat is taking supper home to the family. Anyway, pretty cool picture. I've never seen anything like it. Here is what I'm going to talk about next, I think. They're the Thule elk. Very super curious. They have to go and investigate everything. Environment. They have to know about every fence post, every birdhouse that I put up, every camera I put up, everything. I put this one out in the middle of a pond, and you can see Coyote Valley or San Jose down in the background there. So that's like, what do I live? Bernal and 101 is down below there. She walked right up to the camera and just stuck her nose into it. And then I had to go clean the camera. Anyway, so Thule elk are a lot of fun. They're super curious, probably the most fun one to study, just because they're so dynamic, they're so interesting, and they're always doing something. So about 5 years ago or so, Kathy Dollard and I were up on Coyote Ridge walking along, blah, blah, blah. We came up on top of the ridge, and here was a herd of elk right off on our left-hand side. And we thought, well, okay, fine. Took a picture. We'll just skirt around them and go this way. We'll go south on Coyote Ridge Road. And we swung over there and we walked along, and they ran right past us. So what's wrong with these guys? they ran past us and ran over to basically where the road, see, road is right below us here. The road switches and swings back down the hill down towards Bailey. So we stopped there, took a picture, we counted them, and you can count them too. I've counted them a dozen times. I think there's 75, and this is like 2 or 3 herds all grouped together. Yeah, and we're studying one of these herds this year. We're studying about 32 of the elk, which 32 elk. That's 22 cows, 9 calves, and 1 bull. The rest of them are farther east in Isabel Valley or up on Hewlett Packard property, or some of them here on the Richmond Ranch. So we're trying to collect information about movement, about corridors, habitats they enjoy, how we can maybe link these things together, because we have some barriers like 101 or 152, which is a major barrier. Yeah, we're studying those. I'll show you some maps of GPS tracking we're doing. We're trying to validate the core areas where they live, their home range, their calving sites, their rut areas, which are different, and then corridors if we can identify them. And I think we're getting something. We're getting some good information. So about 2 weeks ago, I was out with 2 biologists up on Coyote Ridge. We knew we had some elk up there we wanted to get a lot closer to and identify. And so we head on up there. We are heading over the hill from the big dump over here, the county dump. We'll go up over the hill. We're coming down. On our way down, we go past. Here's a couple of dead animals with a dead coyote. And we're going down. We got 3 elk on the radio. And we go another half a mile. Suddenly we have 1 elk on the left side of us and 2 on the other side, on the right side of us. So we must have crossed in between the herd somehow. We couldn't figure out where the actual herd was. We had to keep going down all the way down to the creek that feeds into Anderson Lake. And from there, we could look up the hill, and there they are. And we spotted them. And one of the biologists wanted to see how close she could get without raising an alarm. And it was probably about 200 yards. But anyway, let's see what we got here. So listen to this. Watch the elk on the left. You can see she's actually barking. Well, there's a bunch of them barking. They're all alarmed now. They can see that she's coming up to them. And the one on the left is the one with the collar on it. Cow. So the calves are all in the back, all kind of corralled. They kind of like form a loose herd around the calves. The outside of that will be the lead cows and the babysitter cows. And finally, they decide enough is enough. They're taking off. So they run up that way towards Coyote Ridge, and they go maybe a half a mile and stop. And so we headed out. We were heading back to the truck, so we ended up actually spotting them again. We went up and around them up on top of Coyote Ridge. We're about at the point where some of you might know of Champagne View. Ron probably knows where Champagne View is. That's where we were. We went about another quarter mile. We ran into the herd again, and they ran across in front of us to the west side of Coyote Ridge. And we went home. So anyway, I really enjoy elk. There's so much to study, so much to watch, their mannerisms, their interplay, their family units, the rut is really pretty exciting, and I can talk about that for a while. I got some really great video of the rut going on here and also at some other places. They're very social, familial. They're open country ungulates, more like pronghorn than regular elk. So if you think about other elk like the Roosevelt elk or the Rocky Mountain, they're more into, let's say, forested area. the Roosevelt elk is along the coast up in Oregon, in Northern California. When they are alarmed, when they're scared, they will eventually run to the thick trees and brush and kind of hopefully hide out. Whereas tule elk and pronghorn are open country ungulates. They stay away from that kind of brush, trees and stuff. They like to be out in the open where they can see what's alarmed them. And so they're a lot of fun to watch in that way, because you can always see you can always see them. They're not hidden away in the trees and whatever. So a really cool animal. Ultra curious, as I told you. They constantly are attacking my cameras. There's a lot of things to study. I know there was a about a year ago, there was the California Fish and Wildlife was doing a scat study out in San Antonio Valley. And they were looking at, elk scat to figure out parasites, diseases, what do they eat and that kind of a thing. We've looked at wildfire impacts a little bit. We're looking right now at seasonal herd movement and more road crossings, mortality. Highway 1 right here in our area, Highway 152 is a deadly zone, especially from the top of Pacheco Gap and the Pacheco Ridge all the way down to the dam. Just a deadly area, and you don't want to hit an elk when they weigh 500 pounds. Cause some severe damage to your car. Habitat fragmentation is something we're talking about. Habitat loss is not good, but there's a movement afoot by the Save Mount Diablo group to preserve the entire Diablo range from Mount Diablo all the way to the Carrizo Plain. So there's some encouraging movement going on right now, and it's going to be fun. It's going to be a long process, 10 or 20 years worth, but it's going to be fun. So here's the couple of the elk we collared in January. We collared January 7th. We collared 10 elk on Coyote Ridge. They came in with helicopters and nets, and they gave them a shot, and then they did a bunch of workup on them, put a collar on, put an ear tag on every one of them, and did some analysis. They found out that 5 of the 10 had severe gum disease or tooth impacted teeth or other tooth problems, and I've seen that quite a few times. I've got pictures of elk with huge swollen sides of their mouth where there's some real swollen tooth problem there and a gum problem. But anyway, these 2 guys wandered in front of the camera. We collared 7 cows. This is one of them. This is right at this is on Coyote Ridge near where the corral used to be. The other one is, this other elk is from, where did I get that picture from now? That must be from Jackson Ranch, but I could be wrong. Anyway, so where did we tracking? So we got GPS collars on these guys. This is one of the pictures from the first, for the end of January. And each of these pictures, each of these colors on the screen are the pink one at the bottom. In the middle, there's a red, bright green. Up above, there's a dark green, there's a white, and orange, and another light green down here. These are the elk are moving around. Originally, they were all kind of in this area when they were collared, but then they started moving around, and you can see they're over in the valley, over San Felipe, on the other side of Lake Anderson. This is Jackson Ranch down here, and so Metcalf Road is up in here. And then up on here, there's 2. This dark green is actually a bull that was captured on Richmond Ranch, right up in this area. So that's a bull. The rest of these are cows. There's a bull down here, a bull here. So then, about 2 weeks ago, I got this one from them that shows that they moved. So at least two of these bulls have moved to San Antonio Valley, and you can see Henry Coe's in the middle here. On the right is um, the Red Creek area and Oristimba. So they moved quite a ways from Coyote Ridge over here to Red Creek. So we're getting some really good information about movement, about paths, and yeah, it's going to be interesting. So, some of you may see elk. Some of you may see the tracks. I see them quite a bit. I see them every day practically. Here's some tracks I got from the back along the road behind my house here. So this track shows an elk, a cow on this left-hand side, and my finger is there for reference. And just for other reference, there's a smaller elk calf track here on the right-hand side, about half the size. The elk calf track will look almost like a yearling, or not even a yearling, a 6-month-old cow calf. So just for reference, it doesn't look like a deer track. A deer track is more pointed and smaller. I could have put one up for a reference, but I didn't. So my quiz for today: what species of animal is this, and what do you think? What do you think's going on here? Anybody have any ideas? Are we getting any questions? So I got three pictures.
We've gotten a few questions, but if anybody has a guess, please put it in the chat. It would be really fun to see everybody's guess.
Yeah, we'll give you a minute. I'll give you a minute to go ahead and chat. Put something in chat about what you think you're looking at in front of here. Okay, so these all are the same species of animal. They're all from Tule elk. The first one here is a scat from a wet season of the middle of the winter, when there's lots of green grass, there's dew, there's rain. The scat is much stickier. It kind of binds together and comes out more like a cow than a deer or a rabbit or whatever. So it's much stickier. There's actual pellets in there. They're just kind of all bound together in 1 or 2 or 3 blobs. So that's what's happening there. So if you see that, don't be too confused, because this is what you normally see. Most people see, because this is around through this dry season from, let's say, April through, let's say, November maybe. So these are the pellets. You'll see anywhere from 16 in a pile to 100 in a pile, like this, maybe more. I don't know. I didn't count them. This bottom one is more interesting to me. Something new here. So this is this time of the year when the calves are around. They're growing up. They're drinking milk, and so this came from an elk calf. And this is because they're drinking a lot of milk. Their digestive system is still trying to figure out what is grass and how do I eat it and why do I eat it? Because, hey, I'm getting all my nourishment from my mom. But anyway, this scat is from a calf. It's a lightly tinged light brown. So there's your lesson for today. One other thing I wanted to remind you and talk about for a second is that one of the things we were studying is the recruitment rate and the cow-calf ratios. And for many years, I've been looking at that and trying to figure out what is a good number. We've never had good ratios. The numbers have typically been around 20%. But this year, the Coyote Ridge herd that we looked at, that we just showed you a picture of them barking away up here, had 22 cows and 9 calves, which is about a 41% ratio, which is the highest I've ever seen. So it's been a really good year for calves in the Coyote Ridge. So we're using a tool called Wildlife Insights to track all this. I've uploaded about 40,000 pictures, I think, to Wildlife Insights. Wildlife Insights tries to figure out what it is, puts little boxers around them, and then tells you potentially what kind of an animal is in that image. And so we'll take a look at that. But anyway, here's my project. If you go to Wildlife Insights and go look for Coyote Ridge monitoring, you'll find my project, and you can look at all the pictures in there and just have a ball. If you see something that I misidentified, let me know. I'll fix it. Yeah, but it takes a while to go through 35,000 pictures. Anyhow, you're welcome to go look. So have fun. So here are the pictures. There's 33 species. There's 14 locations, mostly because I moved some cameras around to different places. Yeah, and you can see there's like almost 6,000 elk pictures up there. So you'll see some good elk, really good elk pictures, and you'll have a good time. So how does this work? Here's your picture from your camera. You load it up there. It goes in and tries to figure out what animal is that. And generally, it starts looking at the head, because the heads are pretty distinct amongst all the different animals in this area. So this is a Bosch Taurus. It's a cow. It's got red boxes around all three of them. And so I say, cool, accept. There's a 99% confidence level that these are all three cows here. And so you click on the accept button and go on to the next picture. Here's another picture from Jackson Ranch. One day, when was this? Yeah, June 29th. The whole herd came by this camera. This is camera number 5. And I tried to count the calves as they came by, and I counted 10, but I must have got it wrong. There were actually only 9 in the herd, but it was really difficult. When the herd is moving like this, it's hard to move from picture to picture, which is 2 or 3 seconds apart, to try and count animals. But anyway, it shows 16 elk, and so then you'll just click save changes here, whatever, and you can edit the photo. You can do some other things with the photos. You can adjust the photos as well to make them easier to see, especially the nighttime photos. You can adjust them to make them easier to see, easier than whatever's there. The next project I've been working on basically for 6 years. This is the mountain lion project. This is a beautiful male come walking by the camera, and this picture's been in magazines. It's been all over the web. This picture has been become pretty popular. Again, we're trying to figure out here what's going on with the mountain lion, and we're trying to compare what's going on here with what's happening in San Mateo. So San Mateo is an urban area. You're right on the edge of the city. There's mountain lions, there's parks, there's people all around, versus Henrico, which is a kind of semi-wilderness area. I mean, at least the area where we are is semi-wilderness, and it's not completely, there's devoid of people, because we do have hikers, mountain bikers, and, park rangers and other people come through. But anyway, the idea is to see if the mountain lions and other animals are reacting differently compared to the San Mateo study. And I'll show you a picture of that in a little bit. But anyway, we're trying to figure that out. Long time study. Some of the data has already been extracted and used for a couple of papers published by Feliday. Courtney Kuhn published one. So did Kendall Jackson study on elk and mountain lions and wildfire. Sorry, not flower, wildfire. So he was doing a study up in San Mateo, Sonoma County, and he had cameras set up out there, and he was documenting the movement of elk as the fire came through there. Yeah, that's really an interesting study. So if you're interested in that, let me know. Again, the fire came through our study area as well in August 2020, and it burned right through our camera area. 3 of the 10 cameras got burned up. One of them burned up just after it fell over. So it was just, we were getting pictures as the camera was tilting and falling. The tree it was on burned up. So anyway, so there's lots of information about mountain lions all over the place. to talk about mountain lions would take hours of time. There's so much to cover, but there's some really good places to go look. And then, so there is one place here that the California Fish and Wildlife website has a really nice, mountain lion discussion. The Mountain Lion Foundation has the mountainlion.org site full of information. And then checking out tracks and scat for mountain lions, you want to take a look at beartracker.com. And so I'm planning to do a presentation in about 2 weeks on mountain lions for open space. So that'll be coming up. That's what I'm working on. I'm working on a Tule elk presentation. That'll be done at the Henry Coe education presentation that comes up in November 1st. So anyway, like I said, the Mountain Lion Foundation has a lot of good information, some great videos. So go check it out. If you've got particular questions, let me know. Again, mountain lion is called the mountain lion in this area of the country. In most other areas of the country, it's a cougar or a puma or panther, I suppose. It's a member of the Felidae cat family. It's all over the North and South America. Well, South America anyway, North America, just on the western part. It's pretty good size, actually. When you see a full-size skin of it, which I used for my outreach event, it's 8 feet, 8 feet long, big long tail, big animal, 100 pounds or so. Females are a little bit lighter. They're the best jumpers in the cat family, so they can jump over fences pretty easily. And you'll see in some of these discussions at Mountain Lion Foundation where they'll come and build a predator-proof pen for you, and so that's always fun. Anyway, so this shows the map, both the historic range, which is basically all of North America except for Canada, parts of Canada, and then most all of South America and Central America. The dark green is kind of the current range, although that's changing some, and we'll see some of that. So when we were out the other day, let's see, I guess it was 2 weeks. 2 weeks ago, I was out with a scat scent dog. Karen and her dog was here. She came from Montana. She comes out every year or so now, and we were out on a Saturday up at San Mateo, up in the hills there, checking for scat, trying to find some. And we did find some, so we'll talk about that. Anyway, mountain lions are moving east. There's three cats family groups in Nebraska. The Pine Ridge group is in the north corner here. That's the biggest. The other two are a little bit smaller, but they're doing pretty well. They have connectivity across to the Black Hills and then out into Wyoming, into the cat groups out there. So Karen says she's having a good time studying mountain lions in Nebraska. So we also get some great pictures that I really enjoy on the cameras, and kittens are just like elk. They want to go check out everything. So these guys came up again on Rat Spring Trail and came right up to the camera, and they're checking it out. So there's 3 kittens in this group, and then mom in the background. And so they're coming up and they're going to stick their nose right in the camera. And so other cool pictures. Anyway, so at Coe Park, we have 10 camera grids. They're each 2 kilometers square. So there's 10 grids. We put the cameras along roads and hiking trails and deer trails. Some are near water sources. Some are out in the chaparral. Some are in open oak woodland. We set the camera to shoot 3 pictures. When it gets triggered, a 10-second delay, no video. So that's the way we set them up. This is a picture of this is an interesting picture because this cat is taking a dump right here. It's very loose. It's like he's got diarrhea. It's very black. And so the reason is that this cat has just eaten a deer, probably. I don't know for sure. But what they typically do is they kill a deer, they'll drag it to where they want to eat, and they'll eat. They'll get into the chest, the chest cavity from the lower below the ribs. They work up in there. They'll eat the heart, the liver, and the kidney, and other vital organs, and that is what they consume first because that's the most nutritious. So the first scat that they have after that is going to be really dark black, and very runny. After that, then they go ahead and start eating, meat off the bones, or shoulder and flank and stuff like that. And those scats are a little browner, more full of hair. But these initial ones are going to be black, and that's what's going on right here. And this cat is another kitten. This is camera 11. Is following mom down the hill, and of course this is just one of the pictures, but in the next picture he's sticking his head out the other side of mom. I'm having too much fun. Sorry about that. So in these last 6 years, practically, I've documented all these animals. I can't remember how many. There's over 1 million pictures. I know that. So just over 1 million. So I've written down and looked at every picture. Some of them I've looked at them twice or 3 times. This is what I come up with. There are gray fox is the most common animal in front of the camera. How's that? Maybe the most common animal in the park, but anyway, gray fox is the big number 1 here. Black-tailed deer is going to be number 2. Coyote, jackrabbit, we see a lot of, and wild pigs. Although they're doing a good job of cleaning out the pigs this year. We see a lot of bobcats, some brush rabbits, and then way in there somewhere is the puma. 460 puma cats we've seen. Kangaroo rats are another fun one. We also see horses as people ride by, and some feral cows are wandering around the park as well. Ground squirrels, fox, squirrels, and wood rats round out the list here. So that's what we see on our cameras. So as I said, we got cameras on trails, some on roads, and so I split them up so I could tell kind of where things were going on, right? And so you see a fairly even balance, although the roads side of this picture is a little bit more. And so it turns out that mountain lions like to take roads because they're moving from place to place. It's not because they're lazy. It's just the road happens to be going where they want to go. And so they're efficient about it. They use the roads, and which is fine. And so we see their tracks on the road and their scat. They use trails as well. Camera number 1 is the one on the left side here. This is the one that's most active. It's the one where we got, the kittens pictures, the big male pictures. The other camera number 3 is by Hoover Lake, kind of a chaparral, semi-deserty area, no trees around. 5 is interesting. It's right next to Coyote Lake, and lots of people. So numbers are down. 11 is kind of where we saw the last little kitten. An interesting place down by Pacheco Camp. 7 is the busiest for some reason. Not sure it has the most people, but it has quite a few people coming by mostly on bicycles. So interesting. Do they care? Probably not too much, but there they are. That's right by Kelly Lake. So this is the areas we're studying. The Felidae is studying. We'll see cameras in the San Mateo area here. In this area, here's Henry Cove down here. There's my 10 cameras. We got some up here along East Bay, in Napa and Sonoma and Marin County. And this is also where we were doing the scat studies up in this area and in San Mateo right here. So we're going to get into scat pretty quick. So this is DJ. He was our scent dog of the day. DJ is a a pound dog, a rescue dog. They first tried him out in as a marijuana scenting dog at the airport. He was not into marijuana too much, so the the organization that Karen works for picked him up, and he took to bobcats and mountain lions. He loves finding feline, although he'll find pretty much everything else. He will indicate when it is a feline and not a canine, like a coyote or a gray fox. So he found some great stuff when we were out, and I'll show you a few of those. So this is, yeah, some stuff we would never have seen or found without the dog. So, yeah, we're looking at the health of the mountain lions. We're trying to do some DNA analysis to see who they are, who they're related to, and what sex they are. We're trying to test them for heavy metals like mercury and lead. We're also testing for parasites and stress hormones. So when we get into doing this, we're going to be collecting 4 different samples from one scat. We're going to send it off to 4 different labs, and they are going to analyze it and get back to us to tell us what they found as far as metals, for viruses, parasites, and that kind of stuff.
Hey, Mike,
So,
just doing a time check. It's 7:39.
do I have to quit now?
But no, just letting you know that we're coming up on 8.
I got 5 minutes to go.
Yeah, we still have a Q&A section to do,
Okay.
and I need to have a few slides as well.
All right. I can skip a few slides because we just talked about that. I'll show you a big puma scat. This is one you wouldn't expect, but that's a real hand, and it's a real scat. And it's pretty good size, over an inch for sure. And so that's kind of the minimum thing. Mountain lion scat is always at least an inch in diameter. Here's one that's pretty recent. It's a lot of hair, segmented, still a little shiny. It might be 24 hours old, maybe 2 days at the most. Here's the one that's much older. This is a couple of months old. You can see my hand there. Here's one that's really old. We were down in the valley where I wouldn't normally ever go, but DJ found this, and it was amazing. He also found this one, which was like 25 feet off the road. None of us would have expected it. And it was fresh. Well, not real fresh, but it was dark. And you can see how dark it is. So it's got to be one of those that came, right after they ate the vital organs of the animal. So this is a nice dark one, very good, yeah. So anyway, we split them up into 4 groups. We have to document everything on this sheet of paper here, all this stuff that we have to document. We split them up into 4 bags, and each bag gets sent to a separate lab for testing. A lot of stuff goes into testing of camera trapping, permits, forms, a plan, all the equipment you need, cameras, testers, stakes. And a new thing I just got, which is a battery-powered hedge trimmer, which is really cool for cleaning up, wavy weeds and grass in front of the camera. Here's another mega detector tool. This is the one we use for the mountain lions study. This is a really good tool. It does a really nice job. It has some good front-end tools, it's user-friendly, and some great back-end tools for reporting. So this is going to be really good. It also identifies animals, or in this case, a human, puts a box around them. These are different colored boxes, and gives you confidence levels on what he sees. And then you can yeah, I agree. 3 human beings hiking by. There's a bunch of different AI tools. We showed you a couple of them. Wildlife Insights, which I'm using at wildlifeinsights.org. Mega Detector is at wildpod.org, where any one of you can actually sign up to be a volunteer and start helping us. Like I said, I've got 1 million pictures. There's probably another 10 million pictures out there that need to be checked, validated, compared, whatever. So it's tons of work. We have about 60 volunteers right now working on this. We need another 60. So come help us out. For the Gray Fox program, I was working on video processing, which is what Bill collects video for behavior analysis from all of his cameras. And the regular tools don't handle video, but Zamba has figured out how to time slice and slice up a video, 10-second or 30-second video into pieces and then analyzes each piece. It's still a learning curve. There's a lot of training that has to go into that. And I spent about 3 months working on it. So it's not ready for prime time yet. But anyway, the one other tool you may be familiar with is Zooniverse. It's used by a lot of different organizations. Very popular. There's some other things that are coming now. We have thermal drones that are flying around taking pictures of, in this case, elephants, but we could also use it for elk or mountain lions or whatever. We also have something called Poacher Cam, which has built-in analysis in it. It has a super smart chip that does the analysis, AI chip right in there that does the analysis. There's some other techniques going on. They're being developed right now. They're building another kind of add-on unit that will work with any camera, where you plug a card into the SD card slot and feed a cable over to an AI analysis unit, which is going to be really cool. I also wanted to show you this new road crossing map from the state. And you can see here is the Highway 152 over to San Luis Reservoir. This is the where the elk are getting killed down in this area right here on this downhill stretch. Very ugly. It also shows you Highway 101 and Coyote Ridge right here. Monterey Road, the railroad tracks, Santa Teresa, Bagley. That's considered a priority barrier, whereas 152 is the top priority because it's getting a lot more roadkill over here on 152. Some references for, here's the mammalian resistance to megafire that Kendall did. Really nice job. Got his PhD. And then the one that Courtney did, there's one other one. Oh, and I wanted to show you this book, which we can look at in a minute, but this is one of the best references. It's kind of a children's or youth kind of book. Got lots of pictures, but everything in it is good. This is me. I wanted to invite you to go watch this little video on ants and grizzlies because it's cool. And I'm going to be at Marshall Cottle in a couple of weeks. So that's about it. I guess I'm done.
Great. Thanks a lot, Mike. Wow, that was a lot of information, and it's really great to see all the research that you personally have been involved in, but also just the general knowledge that you've acquired from your colleagues as well.
Oh yeah, it's been a lot of fun. So I wanted to show you, I don't know if you can see those or not, but these are the pamphlet I was telling you about. This one I get from my friend. I drive over to visit him and he gives me a bunch of them. I usually pick up about 25 or 30 of them. This one is from Sharon up at Wild Futures. And I have to order like 30 at a time because she doesn't ship individually. This is the one on that Julie Phillips put together that you can't get from her website anymore. And then the last one is this one is I got called, what is it called? Wildlife of Elk. This is really good, actually a really good book. It's got some really cool pictures, but it's got, I mean, everything in it is good and it's accurate. May not be quite accurate for a Thule elk because Thule elk are not the same as Rocky Mountain elk.
Well, let me close out this section real quickly. So Merav, if you could share the screen, starting with the large mammal research slide. So I just want to talk a little bit about how some of this data is used that Mike and his colleagues have been generating. And there are a couple of organizations that have been directly using some of this information. One is specifically around wildlife linkages. And Mike talked a lot about the ability to track where the wildlife is moving from point A to point B. So that would be an example that the Peninsula Open Space Trust posts is using, next slide, to identify the critical wildlife linkages and corridors. And one of the last slides that Mike showed of the high and high level of incidents, road incidents, is something that they also are looking at in Coyote Valley. And then master planning is another area that the data can be used. The Open Space Authority is creating a Coyote Valley Conservation Areas master plan. And this data is used as a roadmap for the future, especially around restoring Coyote Valley as a protected valley floor land. Next slide. So from the Peninsula Open Space Trust, I was able to get a little information about the Coyote Valley Wildlife Connectivity Planning Project. And in this map, you can see the area that is being covered. Up in the upper left, you can see the junction of 101 and 85. So this area is just below that junction. And the project is specifically to restore wildlife connectivity and reduce wildlife and vehicle collisions. And one of the things to really notice about the information here is that this also provides us with an opportunity to see the hot spots of where the wildlife vehicle collisions are based on where they're trying to cross the roads. So if you go to the next slide, these are the partners in this project. In this next slide, you can see where the wildlife is moving. So this in particular addresses where they move to and where some of the areas are that we find these focal species. And it's really small, but I can list some of those focal species, which are, I thought I had written them down. Badgers, and we have coyotes, and a couple of other, let's see. There's also the brush rabbits in there, medium size, and some deer. So those are some of the focal species and where they are, and try to prioritize their improvements. And the next slide, that one shows the existing crossing options. And I called out some of the landmarks that you might be familiar with. And looking at this, you can see that there are quite a few of different sizes. But one thing that they wanted me to point out is that even though there are 20 culverts and 4 underpasses, a good percentage of them actually are unusable because they're highly blocked with sediment or other materials, and they need to be excavated in order to be used again. Another factor is that these animals like to have a line of sight all the way through. So if they can't see through to the end of the culvert, then it may not be a good place for them to pass. And POST is evaluating how to best maintain and enhance these sites for the focal species. So they're doing a gap analysis, and also they're looking at where can they add new crossing opportunities where there currently are none. And the idea is, of course, like Mike was talking about, is helping with genetic diversity, but also in helping to prevent some of the casualties that we have in vehicle and wildlife connections or collisions.
I believe the most obnoxious rodenticides have been outlawed by California. A normal person can't buy them at the Ace Hardware. However, a pest control company can, and that's typically where we believe that's where it's happening right there. A pest control company comes in, somebody down the street hires them to say we got a rat problem or something, and so that's what happens. And so sometimes it's also around warehouses and other huge facilities where they put out traps and they maybe use some poison of some kind. I think it happens more around the cities. I'm just guessing. This is another topic of this research that there's 100 things that need to be researched, but we don't see it a problem at Henry Coe. And I think Rachel Roberts, who is the state biologist on bobcats, would agree. We don't see it out there. So we see it around cities because that's where people are doing it, right? So it's not. So that's my reply. I don't know.
Okay.
They have strange teeth, I suppose. Their teeth are, I should have, well, I did bring one here. Can you show my picture? Can you show this? Can
Yeah.
anybody see that? So this is the teeth from an elk. They have just steep inclines, deep crevices, and lots of these have they're impacted with, masses of grass and brush and weeds and whatever they're eating. So there's lots of chances for that to get for tooth decay to get in there. Yeah, I don't know. I was surprised to hear that 5 out of the 10 that we captured had problems. I've not seen it that much. I've seen it usually one a year of the herd would have it, a problem that I know of.
Yeah, I was kind of
So
wondering if this is natural or if they're not eating the right food because it's not available for them or something like that, and that's affecting, their health.
yeah, I don't know what I mean the elk here are eating just whatever grows in the wilderness here, outside of our land here, and on Coyote Ridge, they're eating whatever's growing there. So it's not. I don't think it's food necessarily. It just may be inherent to the way they. I don't know. As I said before, I think that there's a lot of things that need to be researched, and that would be one of them. But I can show you pictures of an elk that's got a big uh, bulge out the side of his cheek. This elk is also interesting too because the teeth here are pretty nice, right? This was a younger cow that was probably 7 or 8 years old that died. This one is I didn't mention this earlier, but one of the 10 that we collared back in January died about a month ago, 3 weeks ago. 3 weeks ago, she died over in Isabel Valley, and we got out there and saw the bones were scattered all over. And this is what her teeth look like. If you look at that last picture of teeth, nice and long, they were about that long. These are completely wore down. She's probably 12, 14 years old. And yeah.
Wow.
So she's gone. Well, there are the Bear Tracker, the Bear Tracker website is Kim does a great job of mountain lion scat, bobcat scat, bear scat. So check out the Bear Tracker site. She has a handout there that you can download. There's also one on the Felidae site, or there was. I'm not sure that's available anymore, but there was one there that identified different scat. There's obviously books on scat as well. If you're interested, send me an email. I can point you to some other references. Hey, Merav, can't hear you.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. Since we only have a couple minutes left, I want to close this out and then we'll stay on to finish up some of the other questions. So thank you for joining us for this naturalist training, and hopefully got a lot out of learning about the studies, especially Mike's study on the large mammals. And thank you so much, Merav and Mike, for joining us today. And the recording will be available within a couple of days, and you'll receive a link to it and a follow-up email. And we'll include some of these resources that Mike and Merav were talking about in both the video notes as well as in the email. And in the meantime, one of the things that you can do is consider volunteering. As you heard from both Merav and Mike, that community science is about the community, and we really need volunteers to come in and share their knowledge and collect the data. So think about joining them. And I did put both of their emails in the notes in the chat, so you can follow through there. And lastly, we on our website, keepcoyoteCreekBeautiful.org, you can register for more events. And also Merav's site, BioBlitz.club.
We do not. We've been doing outreach events around the Bay Area, and we did the one at Coyote Creek a few months back. We've done them at Fremont, and we've done them at Patagonia, and we're invited to do one at Sports Basement in a month or so. We meet people face to face, and try and recruit people that way. Yeah, there may be other ways, but I'm not involved in that all too much.
Cool. Now, I was wondering about Zooniverse because I know that different researchers will upload stacks of photos and then ask the public to help them sort out, is this a human? Is this an elk? Is this a penguin?
Yeah.
I've done some. It's really fun.
Yeah, I've done some too on Zooniverse. Yeah. We haven't gone that route yet, but I can check into it.
It's Tule elk all descended from Henry Miller's small herd. Are they inherently inbred? Is that a problem?
Well, yeah, I don't know how many thousands of years it takes for genetic diversity to spread and expand and diverge. But yeah, I don't think they're showing any. They don't show any symptoms of genetic inbreeding. They do travel quite a bit, so they are able to get to visit other herds and other males. So yeah, it would be a problem if they were trapped, let's say, on the other side of 101, let's say in Coyote Valley, and they couldn't get across 101 to Coyote Ridge. Then they would be trapped, and then you're going to have a problem. They tried a few months ago or a year ago, maybe, to talk. They wanted to put some elk at the Stanford Research Facility, that big, 500 acres of land. Well, immediately, they're going to be isolated by themselves, and not be able. They won't be able to access other elk at all. So I think as long as they're free or free range and allowed to roam up and down the Diablo Range, they'll be fine. It's going to take another, let's say, 500 years or something or maybe 1,000 years to get to the point where they might have been originally. I think they're doing well.
How many individuals approximately do you think are in this area?
Well, I had that number once upon a time.
Just approximately, like 100, 200, 5,000.
In the state, there's about 7,000, but that's from Cache Creek up north to southern Carrizo Plain. There's probably maybe 200 or 300 maybe in this northern Diablo Range area, San Antonio Valley, Coyote Ridge, and the San Luis Reservoir area, maybe 200. Yeah, there's some up at Livermore as well in that area. I know they did a count a couple of years ago. They do a flyover count every 2 or 3 years, and they told me the number, but it's gone. I can't remember. But I was just worried about my own because they missed part of the herd. Where you see them up here at the Hellier Park, from that ridge up there, they did not cover any of that area in the flyover, so they missed about 10 elk out there. Well, there was a big wind today or yesterday maybe, and they were going to build a new Pacheco Dam in the valley, replacing the old one and basically quadrupling or whatever the size of that dam that would have flooded part of Kenrico Park. Some really beautiful areas along Horse Timber Creek, or not Horse Timber Creek, Pacheco Creek up into that area of the park. So that was apparently killed yesterday in the Santa Clara County meeting, whatever it was. I can't remember the name of the meeting, but anyway.
Valley Water.
Valley Water, yeah. So the elk and the mountain lion actually don't mix in that area of the park where our cameras are. The elk don't like that chaparral. They don't have enough open country there. The only place in the park that's good open country is the is the northern part of Oristimba up the Red Creek area into San Antonio, heading up towards Mount Hamilton. And they come through that way on their way to San Luis Reservoir.
So did they like the area that burned because it was more open and they could
No, they
swim?
didn't move in there at all.
They probably didn't have anything to eat.
No, they don't. I mean, the deer stayed there. That was interesting. Is that Kendall looked at? Is that the deer? You saw them on the camera when the fire came through. The deer were just, like walking in front of the fire, maybe 10 minutes over the top of Willow Ridge Road, and we had a camera right there. And then they had set a backfire on the other side, on the other ridge. That backfire took about a day to get there, and the next day, the camera captured the deer walking the other way across the road into the burned out area, just like it was every day. I mean, it was not a big concern, and they were able to find patches. It was a nice mosaic burn, or one of the nicest burns we've ever seen. Just beautiful. Didn't burn everything. Lots of green left that they were able to find along the creeks and stuff like that. So it was just a perfect burn. So, but the elk never came in there. It's just too much. I mean, they like that open country along Coyote Ridge and along the hills behind my house here, in the valleys, Isabel Valley, San Antonio Valley. They can see everywhere. They like that.
Have you named any of the elk that you've collared?
Well, I may have. not with names like we did with the bobcats, which we shouldn't have done anyway. But anyway, so some of the elk were the broken jaw elk. I had a broken elk with a broken jaw that didn't line up. The bottom jaw was about an inch off to the side, and then I had another elk cow that had a broken hip, a broken right hip. She survived 4 years up here on top of the ridge. Amazing feat of endurance, and just an amazing elk. I couldn't believe it, but she never got caught by any mountain lions. And there are mountain lions here. We've seen them come through here. We got pictures of them.
Did she have any calves?
She never had a calf. She never got pregnant that I know of. Never had a calf. I don't know how she would have been able to support a bull. But anyway, yeah, I just, my heart went out to her when she came by. When I saw her all the time. She was always and the herd kind of stayed with her. They didn't abandon her, which you would think that would happen, but they would actually stop and wait for her to catch up. So it was just a really touching story.
That's really cool.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to some more of these GPS collar tracking maps. This is just going to be exciting to see where their routes are across the Diablo Range, where they like to go, where they hang out. I mean, the herd on Coyote Ridge, 32 animals hanging out, mostly on the backside of the ridge towards the creek down there. I know for years and years and years, we'd go hiking on Coyote Ridge. We'd look over the hill and we wouldn't see them. Or sometimes we'd see them, like a mile away or something. But the other times, they were right below us in the trees by the creek. You can't see them from the ridge top, and so they might have been there. We just didn't see them. But it is fun to watch them. They are so familiar. There's in a small family group, there's a leader, usually the older, more mature, female. And then with her will be her daughters, maybe 2 or 3 daughters. Maybe her daughters will have calves as well. So there may be a group of 7 in a group, a family herd. And then when you see a group of 32, you think, well, maybe there's 4 families in there, 4, 7, or 4, 4 times 8, 4 times 7 would be, yeah. So in that group, there's going to be a leader that's in charge, not a male, no bulls. Bulls are not going to be leaders. There are going to be babysitters that watch over the calves. So they get assigned to 3 or 4 calves, and they get to kind of watch over the calves. And then when there's an alarm goes up, the calves will follow the babysitter until they stop running, and then the babies will find their moms and pair back up again. And so that's kind of how they move about. The only time there's a bull in the herd is when it becomes, rut time at the end of July. The bull will show up and try and collect as many cows as he can for his harem. Yeah, but he's still not in charge. The cow actually leads the herd around where they want to go to their favorite food. The lead cow was got a great memory of where the best food is, where the tastiest, most nutritious grass is, where the water is when it's a drought. Yeah, so it's a lot of fun to watch them, and the pecking order that they have is established when they are young. When they're only like 5, 6 weeks old, there is a pecking order established among the calves and a pecking order amongst the cows. And when they grow up to be a 1-year-old, they kind of join the rest of the herd as cows and join the cow pecking order and move out of the calf era because there's another group of calves coming along, right? So, but the pecking order is maintained by sometimes just look. You just look at somebody like you would look at your son when he's misbehaving and say, you just look at him and say, don't you be doing that, or sometimes it gets enforced by them bumping another animal or kicking them with their front feet. I've got videos of that. That's really kind of fun to watch what's going on.